Hello, and welcome back to another Pen Talk. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching me explore the wide world of pens, fountain pens specifically. Today we have something that is not unusual on my channel, but it's a pen that was more of an impulse purchase than anything else. And also, I wanted to explore another pen maker's take on a classic design. So let's remove it from its velvet pouch. And it is in a plastic sleeve, so that's protected. It came well wrapped in bubble wrap in a nice envelope, and we'll say a black and gold pen that certainly is a classic design with some different takes on it. So there's a lot of gold here, and occasionally I've said I don't like a lot of gold, and that is generally the case, but this color is not quite as bright as another pen. And the filigree is done very well. You will notice as this pen had some heft to it. It's not a lightweight. It's a classic clip design, extremely functional, very stiff but very usable. So that's always nice to see. We have your classic black flat top finial and relatively flat top, a little rounded there at the bottom. It's not going to stand on that bottom, but you could stand it on the flat spot at the top of the cap. So it's always nice when you could put that cap down and it doesn't going to roll away, and you can place it upright. So the cap comes off in two and 3/4 turns. So that's a fair number of turns, and we'll see that Fuliwen medium nib, which I've enjoyed in the past. Now your standard injection molded plastic feed. It's a straight section, no flare out at the end. The pen is heavy, but a lot of the weight's in the cap. So uncapped, it really fits in the hand nicely. It feels good. You can hold it anywhere. You do notice the transition from the smooth section to the threads and up into that metal overlay, but it doesn't stop you from holding the pen there if you like. But with that number 6 nib, my fingers naturally rest right in the middle of that section, which is just the right diameter for me. And as we all know from this design, it will post. It makes for a very long pen. It makes for a very heavy back-weighted pen. And it's not something that I would enjoy writing with posted, but if you need to post, you can. The Fuliwen disassembled easily. This is definitely a number 6 nib. It's 35 millimeters in length. It's a medium. It's nicely done. Good tipping material on it. And one of the things that makes it a number 6 nib is this feed is a 6 millimeter diameter feed, which is really the reason why it's a number 6 nib. That feed looks familiar with that one fin connected to that center channel in the feed. It's a very heavy metal pen, but I think this is a great converter. Nice silicone insert there into the bottom, nice metal band. It goes up and down easily. Certain I could take it apart, but no need to. There's no spring in it. Let's bring in the LED light and look inside that cap and barrel. It's very ornate. Plain finial at the top. That kind of thick band before that cap band at the end. A very functional clip A lot of clearance there. Relatively stiff. We look inside the cap, we'll see it's all brass. It's a big hunk down there at the bottom, which is used to hold in the clip and the top finial. But the threads, there's a little plastic insert there for the threads. And I'm a fan of plastic on metal threads. I think they feel good. I think it'll seal well when you cap the pen. We need to take a look at the barrel. The filigree pattern is consistent across the pen. If we look inside here, we'll see those brass threads, and down into the barrel it's all brass, all machined brass. That's why it weighs quite a bit. One thing that's nice about this design is when you look into that section, there's a cutout at the top. So the nib and feed only go in one way. That nib would be up here to the top where it's a little bit more open than the bottom. It's always good when it's keyed like that, and it fits in very nicely. Yes, the pen is turntable worthy. It's a heavy pen, so I've used my classic tilt-well black stand, which I think complements the pen very, very well, and I think will look great on anyone's desk. Why do I have this pen? Well, it's an impulse purchase. I peruse eBay occasionally and see something, and I also like that dual-fold design, and I wanted to see Fuliwen's take on it. And we'll do a quick comparison of this design with some of my other designs reminiscent of the Parker dual-fold. One of the things that is very unique right now is I have no pens in transit to me. My Track 17 listing is empty. I don't have anything in a shopping cart. I don't have anything on my to-buy list. So I think this is the first in many years when I haven't had something coming in, but I have plenty of content to fill a number of videos and a lot of content that I have started and never finished, and now hopefully I'll be motivated to do that. So we're going to just come in a little bit closer and watch the light play on this pen. Hopefully that's something you can enjoy watching. And now let's explore this pen a little bit more, do some comparisons, and obviously come up with an ink and see how that Fuliwen medium nib writes. Here we have some pens I'm putting in to a comparison with the Fuliwen. Here we have the Kaigelu 316 in a beautiful classic ivory and gold swirl design reminiscent of the remake of the dual-fold by Parker. Also, this is almost as heavy as the Fuliwen, so that puts these two in that heavyweight category. Here we have the Wingsong take on this model. We have the Jinhao Centennial take on this model. We have a Moonman 600 and that beautiful amber resin. And I just put here a Fine Writing International Jupiter, part of the Planet series, because it follows that same design of a finial at the top. It also has a roller ball on the clip. This has a ball, this has a ball. This is that Parker Arrow design. And these are just other takes on that clip. And they all have a finial at the end. All serves different purposes. I really like the Jupiter take on it because of this clear barrel. You know, Moonman T1 comes to mind, and probably a ton of other pens. Opus 88 does that a lot too. So hopefully you can get an idea of the range that you can do with this classic design. Flat top finials, you know, caps, bands, cap bands, which these all share, and a nice straight, fairly large size barrel. We'll give you weights on these pens so you can put them in perspective. So these are in the 40 plus range, and this is in the high 20s. So there's a big difference. That 10 grams is felt. But all of these uncapped fit great in the hand, feel great in the hand, have a good size section. Number 6 nibs, pretty certain about that. We'll uncap and take a look. So here we are posted, and they make for a long pen posted. The Wing Sung really doesn't post. The cap just falls off. I mean, you can place it there, but it's not secure at all. And they all do have that nice number 6 size nib. One of the design attributes that came out in the second version of the dual fold from Parker was a gold ring at the top of the section and a gold ring at the bottom of the section. And 3 of them have that design. This one doesn't have the gold band at the bottom. This has no metal bands either, top or bottom, and neither does the Fine Writing International. Beautiful black nib with that beautiful laser etched logo in it. I mean, aesthetically, I just found the Planet series to be exceptional. A lot of people got Saturn, but I went with Jupiter. It's a bigger planet. Again, the sections are all pretty good size. The Wing Sung is the smallest one of the group, but all of them I think would work well for most people. And posting them is something you're going to have to love to do in order for it to feel good. I think it was worth zooming in on the nibs, because all these are impressive looking nibs. The Moonman nib is probably the least impressive of the group, but still holds its own. A nice, good size for those that like their nibs large. Nice engraving. All of them are identified with the name of the maker. You know, no generic nibs in this group, which is nice. The crabs have requested equal time in this video. They said they're up to holding up these heavy pens. Here's the weights of the pen. The Jinhao Black Dragon pen certainly is the heaviest of the group. The Lamba 2, yes, it is a Lamba 2 red pen, is in a similar weight vein, slightly less than the Fuliwen. But these are pens that I've had for a while. This one I've had for a long time, one of my early reviews. And I think visually they're unique. They're interesting, and they're certainly an object to have on your desk to start the conversation. And the red one is a Lamba 2. Interesting. Certainly not something you'd think of. So these are ornate, to put it mildly. There's a nice little inlay identifying the pen at the top of the cap. The cap material is pretty plain. The dragon has its great red eyes, a cap band, and then a lot of inlay in the barrel. It's a pull-off cap, and we see more of a generic nib than one would expect. It's a little on the small side. If we go to this Jinhao Dragon pen, which I reviewed early in my video reviewing career, it is extremely ornate. A lot of inlay. I mean, I can't imagine how they got this gold-plated brass inlay in there with the Chinese characters in it. This phenomenal dragon in the barrel. And they're very heavy pens. This Jinhao is definitely the heaviest. Yes, the crabs are having trouble holding them up. They said they were up to it, and I'm holding them to their word. So yes, I have a few over-the-top Chinese pens. Oh, what's nice about reviewing my video footage is I realized I didn't show the nib on this Jinhao pen. It's also a snap-off cap, like the X450 and 750. It has a fairly ornate nib there. A lot of engraving, a lot of detail going on. Now you've seen it. Now for a look under different light. No LEDs, so the lumens are probably 1/100th of what they were prior to this. I have a ceiling light over to the right behind me, and that's all that's providing light. But this video camera does an automatic light adjustment, so I'm certain it's turned up its sensitivity and gives you a different look at these interesting pens. There may be some of you asking, Chris, why'd you get another gold pen when you didn't like the Jinhao 601? And I'll say, I don't know. But it is a different color gold, and it's not as bright. You know, that filigree with the dark background breaks up that's just an expansive gold. And it is a different color gold. Is he actually gold plate? I'm not going to say one way or the other. Not going to analyze it. It's just there for visual entertainment. It's not there for any type of protection or anything like that. And gold just has a certain attraction to many people. Also, you can see how much bigger the Fuliwen is from the 601A. And the 601A is an average size pen. This one is a good size pen. So if I was asked to describe this filigree pattern, I would say I have no idea. There's definitely some design element there in the back of the cap. You know, leaf design, some berries, Sons of the Ray, a sword handle. Yeah. But that engraving does bear a strong resemblance to this symbol on the papier plume ink bottles. Fleur-de-lis, something like that. To me, it's just an interesting looking pattern that I didn't enjoy looking at. So what ink to put in the Fuliwen? Well, this ink called out to me. The color looks nice. It's called Mandarin, and it's an iron gall ink. I like these first runs of KWZ inks. It came in these nice cardboard outer covers. You had a date code, September 16th, 2019, a batch number, a lot of information. Pen PBS does a similar type of information on their inks. And it is definitely in that brown, dusty brown color. And as we do a chromatography, this is a normal chromatography. It's a pretty bland looking color. If we let it dry, because iron gall ink is supposed to have some ink resistance, we'll see that gray line that remains, which is from the iron gall, which bonds with the cellulose, but the pigments still push up. And that's one of the things that when I first, this is the first iron gall ink that I really played with, I was not overly impressed with its permanence. I certainly like the color. And as it dries, it gets darker, but we'll see how this ink, after almost a year of sitting, how it looks when it writes and dries. So if we're ready for that all important, what is a pen supposed to do right, part of the video. You know, having spent some time with the pen, it is heavy, dense. It definitely feels like it's made out of metal, which it is. Aesthetically, I can enjoy this. You know, that filigree kind of reminds me of the Waterman's filigree that was very popular back in the teens and 20s and 30s. The cap taking almost 3 turns to get off is not something I'm going to get used to, but this is a desk pen. Not going to be something you need to quickly write with. And I feel this is very comfortable. Even though the pen itself feels heavy, in the hand it feels comfortable. That weight is balanced, centrally balanced, so that gives that good feel. As I mentioned, that section is pretty much the perfect diameter for me. I'll give you those section diameters. We'll also give you the overall weights of the pen so you can put that in perspective and see how much the cap adds to the overall weight of the pen. And we'll give you the lengths. And we'll include the length posted, even though that's not something I think that you're going to do on a regular basis. I can enjoy having this pen in my hand and writing with it and looking at it, and just it makes me feel good, and I can't explain why. Hopefully you can see how that ink darkened. Comes a really darker brown color. And this is a fairly wet writer. And this nib is very smooth. And I think it has the perfect feedback. Especially on this Fabriano paper. So I've had other Fuliwen mediums, and in case it wasn't clear enough, this is a medium steel nib, and all of them have written very well. You know, I compare this to the Moonman Fine because it's about the same width of the line. And it works well with this Mandarin Iron Gall ink. I'm going to pause the camera for a minute and then show you how the ink looks when it dries. So it dried for about a minute. Hopefully you saw that difference in the color. It's darker by a number of shades. So now we're going to rate this pen. I'm going to give it a 9.3. It gets 1 check for the nib and 1 check for the classic design. And no other checks. I mean, the build is okay, but it's not exceptional. You know, to me it goes into that classic look part of the pen. I like the pen. It's a great desk pen. Not something I would use as an everyday carry. Jotting down notes, recording in my pen journal, I think this would make a great addition to the number of pens that I have to do that with. So if you've enjoyed this look at a pen that you may not be aware of, and as always, thank you for watching. May you find a pen that you like and enjoy, and it encourages you to put ink on paper. It's always fun, to me, putting ink on paper. It doesn't have to make any sense. It just has to feel good and make me feel good. So I hope you're all staying safe and healthy and happy and finding opportunities to enjoy life, your pens, everything. So this is the end of this video. We're going to say bye. It works good. See you soon.